This video is for your Greek class. It goes along with your Croy textbook. I would encourage you to maybe grab that textbook and follow along as I talk about this chapter. Chapter 20, good news is if you've been following along with chapters 17, 18, 19, we're just still building onto them. Not a ton of new things here, just the next kind of step along the line that should be logical based on what we've seen so far. We're going to look at aorist passive and perfect participles in this chapter. The aorist passive ones have this lovely theta, just like they do in the present tense, and so you're going to be able to recognize them. And so here you see it, luthes, luthentos, that's the genitive, and then from there on you know luthenti, luthenta, it follows the rest of the rules. Luthesa, lutheses, so it's going to follow your mixed first declension nouns. Luthen, luthentos, you're going to know what to do from then on. So you only really have to learn the nominative and the genitive for participles to be able to recognize them. Again, for the aorist passive ones, you're going to see that theta. For the perfect ones, you're going to see a reduplication at the beginning, which is great because the epsilon has fallen off in the aorist, but the reduplication keeps happening, and you see that kappa. So both of those are indicators of the perfect tense. And so, again, you're going to be able to recognize these, and then once they're started, they follow the pattern that you've seen thus far. So lelukos, lelukatas, leluka, lelukas, lelukas, lelukatas. You're going to be able to figure out what to do next in the dative and in the accusative and then in the plurals. The good thing is being able to recognize these because both of them have really clear indicators. Even in the middle and the passive here, you have that doubling, and then you have the lumenos, lumene, lumenon. The tricky thing is translating, as always. For now, we're going to do this, because again, like I've instructed you for your other homework, we're going to be a little wooden, and even if it's not the smoothest translation for now, let's start here, and then we can discuss, or we can make it more complicated as we get to be better translators ourselves. When it comes to the aorist passive, we're just going to stick with this after, but now it's passive. So instead of after destroying, it's after being destroyed. So something has already happened to the subject. For the perfect, we're going to use this word having. So having destroyed. Just go with it for now. The having kind of conveys the sense that it was in the past and it continues on to today. That's a part of the perfect. And then if it's perfect passive, we're going to go with having been destroyed. So if you need to pause and take a picture of this so that you know what to do, for now, just do those three things for your homework, even if it's a little awkward. That's okay. We can smooth out these translations in the future, but this will give you a good starting point and keep you from being overwhelmed by just trying to figure out the nuances of everything. This should get you a long, long way, just using this as the rule of thumb. That's the main part of this chapter. Like the previous chapter, there's one other thing in here. I go back and forth about whether or not we even need to tell you about this in Greek because I think it's going to come to you very naturally, but we call these periphrastic participles, in that you take an amy verb, so a to be verb, an I am, you are, he, she, it is, and we add a participle to it, and you can just put them together. But we do this in English already, so it's just not a big deal for us. Here's an example. Ha didaskalos tes dikaiousunes, the teacher of righteousness, ein baptizon, was baptized, en te eremo, in the desert. Was baptizing, yeah. So not he was being baptized, but he was doing the baptizing because it's in the active. You're just going to naturally do this, so I'm not too worried about it. Here's another example of this. Tauta, these things. Estin gegramena, and to biblio, to namu. These things have been written in the book of the law. These things are written in the book of the law. You're going to do this pretty naturally, and so I'm not too worried about it, but it's just worth noting that sometimes an amy verb and a participle can go together and they complete like one verbal thought. We do that in English too. So the two things in this chapter are recognizing participles that are either aorist passive with that big theta, or that are perfect with the doubling and the ka in the active and then just the doubling in the passive. And then following along with, I'll back up to this screen so you can see it. This is basically your rule of thumb tonight for homework. So if you've got an aorist passive, do after being. If you've got a perfect active, then do having. If you've got a perfect passive, do having been. And so even if it's a little unsmooth for now, just go with that. And then the periphrastic participles are something you'll naturally do. It's a to-be verb and a participle going together, but straightforward. If you'd like to watch this video again, great. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, or you can bring your questions with you to class, and I look forward to talking about them with you.